Hey guys, are you tired of trying to make a level, but when you finally hop into the editor and try to make some gameplay, it just turns out to be straight ass? Well then this is the correct video for you, as I will show many beginner mistakes that you should avoid when making gameplay, and I will also show simple instructions that you can implement to easily make your gameplay more enjoyable. I can guarantee that after watching this video and practicing these basic concepts in your layouts, you will improve a lot as a creator and come closer to actually getting those creator points. Because making good gameplay isn't actually hard if you keep in mind these basic concepts while building your levels. It is extremely important for your gameplay to be consistent, as every death has to be the player's fault. If your gameplay is buggy and inconsistent, then players will not enjoy it as much, so consistency is very important to be kept in mind while building. Some common mistakes that beginners make that absolutely ruin the consistency of their levels are long orb chains, bad transitions, and bad gameplay. So, here's a layout that I made for this video with all three of these mistakes. I will also change the gameplay so that none of the orbs or clicks are blind. Now the cube will get to slide on the blocks, keeping everything consistent. I have also changed the gameplay so that none of the clicks or orbs are blind, and also every click is on screen and visible. Now, this transition into the ship is also extremely inconsistent. A good way to fix this is to either put down D blocks in the wave to keep the entry the same every time, or to give more time to react to the ship. Now this transition is much more easy, and now every death feels like my fault. However, there is still a lot more work to be done to get this layout up to the standard that I want it to be, including many issues such as balancing is the difficulty of the gameplay that you're making compared to the difficulty of the gameplay in the rest of the level. For example, in good balancing, the gameplay would be around the same difficulty throughout the level. However, in bad balancing, some parts would stick out and be a lot more difficult than the rest of the level. For example, in my layout that I made, some examples of bad balancing are the mini wave spam, the random super tight ship gap, and the frame perfect at the end. So, to make my level better and more enjoyable, and to improve the gameplay, I would have to smoothen out the balancing and make the difficulty more consistent throughout the level, which might need to make some nerfs or to make some buffs. But I promise that having your level be more balanced will be more enjoyable for the player. Song representation is a pretty important aspect of making gameplay, since GD is a rhythm game after all, and the gameplay will feel more satisfying and more flowy to the player. It is also very important to choose which part of the melody in your rhythm is more important to represent with the gameplay. For example, the level Sweater Weather is synced almost completely to the main melody of the song, and it mostly feels good, but the click pattern feels kinda boring at times. On the other hand, Exit Level does this really well in my opinion, and it not only represents the main melody, but it also represents the drums in the background and the instrumental track of the song, which gives it an interesting click pattern that feels very satisfying to do. So the click pattern should be synced to the song, and as a creator it is your job to make it interesting but not too crazy. It is important to represent each note and beat properly with your gameplay. So for example, a lot of people like to use a spider orb or quick motions to represent a snare drum beat, or a long flowy gameplay object like a ship part or a dash orb to represent a long held note, and therefore gameplay elements must be used accordingly to represent changes in the song. So here, in my level that I made, I have had pretty bad song representation. So I am going to quickly build around the song, and I'm going to sync it to the music a little bit better, and I'm going to make it more flowy. So, here is a side-by-side comparison between the old gameplay that I made at the start and the new gameplay that I edited using the tips that I provided. You can still see that the gameplay is still not perfect, and it could use with a bit of work, but there is definitely some improvement that was made. So, all this theory is good to know, but the best way to actually improve making gameplay is to practice. And just like any other skill, if you practice enough, then you will get better. But if you keep these concepts in mind while making gameplay, then you will make gameplay that is more fair and more enjoyable. This is also a very surface level tutorial, and if you want a more in-depth course on making gameplay, then you should join the GD Creator School Discord, where you can find exercises to practice making gameplay, get feedback on your levels, and talk to other creators. The link is in the description. And while you're down there, you should like and subscribe. Okay, bye guys.